Hey guys, it is awesome to see all these smiling faces. Grace, I see you at the bottom of my screen here, and I think you were with us last week. Is that right? You can like nod your head and yes. So I'm seeing lots of familiar faces. It's so great to have you guys back. We've really enjoyed doing these online classes with Michael's. So just super happy to be here. So we're all physically distant, for all kinds of reasons, right? But we don't have to be socially distant. We're still a community of makers. We just all enjoy being creative. So we want to help inspire that and give you this platform to discuss questions, ideas, anything with us during this time. And like Catherine said, we've already done a couple design space classes. So let's see, our first class, we kind of covered the basics, like signing up for design space and getting your machine connected, talking about canvases and how we add images and fonts and things like that. So that was our first class, and that is recorded. So you can find that online at Michael's. And then we had our second class last week, which was more advanced techniques that we can use. So we talked a little bit about layers, grouping. We used the slice tool, the welding tool, the contour tool. So we did a lot of those things, and Joy really walked us through all of that. So today we're actually going to talk about how to upload your own image. And then we're going to talk about layering images as well. So during this time, Joy is going to take over and kind of walk us through the process. If you have questions, Catherine and I will be watching the chat and trying to address as many as we can. And again, we're just really super happy to be here and happy to see you guys. Take it away, Joy. Let's get a street ready, right?
I'm ready. Thank you, Jenny. I did a little bit of thought, I had to really think about what we've already built on in our skills and where we want to go next within those skills. So, I'm going to go ahead and begin by sharing my screen, and I'm going to try and show you where my cursor is as slowly as possible. I know that was a little bit of feedback that I had from last time, is being able to show you, for you to be able to track where my mouse is and everything. So this is a canvas that I've already set up for this week. And there are a few things that I want to remind us of and then kind of point out about what we're doing here. So this is the place where we're doing most of our work. And it is if you look up in the top left corner where I have my cursor, this is called your canvas. Again, you can go find your own projects. I'm looking across the top toolbar where we have my projects. I could go back and see some of the other projects that I've made since we've been working on these. And then this is my week 3 canvas. So I'm going to come here and hit customize, and that will let me come in here to this particular canvas. Now, one thing that I know I show this, but it's something that when I started working with Design Space, I had a hard time finding. If you go to the bottom left corner, you'll see down here where it says 100%, it has a plus and a minus. If I take my cursor away, it's very hard to see, but if I really come back over here, this is how I can make this canvas smaller or bigger so that you can see what I'm working on. It also allows you, if you're cutting on a 24-inch mat, to see the whole 24 inches that you may need for your mat. So let's first talk about what a layered image is. What does that mean? And there are a couple of places where you can find a layered image. If you go to your images, and I'm just going to go this time, and I like showing different spots each time we go over here. I clicked on the image button here on the left side of the screen, right from my canvas, and that brought me to the 100,000 Cricut image search library potential here. So I can search by so many different things, but this time I'm going to click image sets. And within an image set, so if you like an idea of a particular image, let's say it's summer, that I want to look for something about summer in here, I can scroll and find all kinds of sets that are going to have similarities. This is where Cricut pulls things together so that if you're kind of looking for these types of beachy themes, they all sort of hang out together. If you're looking for phrases, they all hang out together. And you'll see that there are images that have color in them, and then some are just a solid. So when we're thinking about layers, we're thinking about whether we have multiple colors or whether we have one solid. And we're not really talking about print here. We are still talking about cutting. So this would be cutting for vinyl or iron-on. And I already pulled this little camper guy. Let's see if I can find him. So he was in this particular image set about celebrations. And if I like him, I can click on that and that will show me that whole set. And then all I have to do is click on the camper and the green bounding box shows up. And so does this insert image button down here at the bottom right-hand corner of my screen. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that insert image, and that's just going to bring this image in twice. And I am going to make these a little bit smaller. What I want to do is show you how you can play with these layers. Now, if I were to hit make it now, Design Space would take these and separate it into all the different mats that I need for all the different colors. But I want to show you how you can mess with this just a little bit. Last time we talked about, so I'm over here on the right, layers panel, there's ungroup and group. So this image that we have of the camper is already grouped. The yellow, the gray, the black, all the teal, all the colors are already grouped together. Let's say I want to go ahead and ungroup them. Then I can start taking apart the different layers. Now you might do this if you really just need some wheels for a project, you just need some tire wheels. You could take all these other bits apart, delete them, and then you have the tire wheels that you need. And I'm just clicking and highlighting these, and see now this one is still grouped. So if it's still grouped and I can't get rid of these two blue pieces, I am gonna go over here to my contour button. We did this last week. And I am going to, let's see, if I hit all, and then I just click back on the ones that I want. Let's see what happens. And then bring that back. I still, oh, now it's a separate group. I still want my tires. Okay, but you get the idea. You would come in and you could play with this until you got the exact pieces that you wanted. So layers are good for, and I'm just hitting the back button to bring things back. I contoured them out. But this is why you might want to play with layers. And as you're looking at different types of images, not all images are actually layered. So you kind of have to bring them into the canvas and then see what's going on if they are layered or not. Okay, do we have any questions about that? Okay, well, good. So now what happens if you want to bring in your own image? Let's say you went through all of Design Space and you didn't want to use anything there, or maybe you haven't purchased a subscription and you want to bring in an image that is your image. That is totally fine. So there are different ways to bring images into Design Space. These are images that I have brought in. This one right here was brought in as a print and cut. And I know that because when I picked it up and started moving it around, its little layer over here showed up and said, I'm right here. And it says cut and print. So that means if I wanted to just make this one, what it's going to do is print it first, and then I would put it into so I would send it to my printer, and then I would put it into my Cricut machine, and I could print that. But that's not usually what we want to do. What we want to be able to do is bring in an image that lets us, and I did not group this one, that lets us get all those little pieces that we want, not as one whole block. So just throwing these ideas out there, so as we start to do this, it'll make sense. And I'm gonna go ahead and delete these. I'm gonna delete everything that I have in here, only because we're gonna do it again, and I don't want this clutter to get in the way. Okay. So now there are different ways that you can find images as you're out on the World Wide Webs. As I love it when people say that, the World Wide Webs. But if you're Googling, you can Google different kinds of things and find different types of stuff. So let me do this. Let me try and stop sharing this screen, and then I'm gonna share a different screen if I can be clever about it. This is my Googling, and creativemarket.com has an area that has free goods, and oftentimes you'll find fonts in here, and you can find sets of pretty things in here. You just need to sign up so they know who you are, and then you can download these items for free. So what we're going to work with today is a set that I've downloaded from Creative Market for free right here. Okay, so now when I download that, I actually can download several, like when it downloads, it gives you a whole ton of pieces and components so that you can choose things. It does have SVG files in it. And if you see right here, within Design Space, these are the different types of files that you can bring in. You can't bring in a PDF. You can bring in a PNG, you can bring in a GIF, and you can bring in a JPEG. Now, if you bring in a .svg file, that is a file that's ready for cutting. So that would just hop right in and you could go right onto cutting. But most times, if you're Googling, you're gonna find something that's a PNG or a JPEG. So I'm gonna show you with a PNG today. And I have my image already ready to just drop right in here from that download that I did. And this is the page you come to. And it says, it asks you some questions. Okay, here's the uploaded image, and this is what it looks like. And then it's gonna ask me, is this a simple correction we need to do? Is it a moderately complex or complex? I always click on the complex because it seems to do a little bit better. I don't know, it takes everything out. It gives me all the questions I need. So now I clicked on the complex, and it brings me to this screen. And on this screen, I have a select and erase tool. I have an erase tool, and I have a cropping tool. I also have a little magnifying glass that lets me zoom in and out over here on the right, and I have a redo and an undo button. So again, this is why we say, get your machine out of the box, give this a try. You're not gonna break anything. So I'm just gonna make this so that we can see the whole piece right here. Now, if I bring this in and I just go right to, and I go continue and I don't do anything, it's going to give me the option to save this as a print then cut image or save as a cut image. So when it's print then cut, you're gonna need to send this to your printer. It's gonna go on cardstock, and then you're gonna be able to print it and cut it. But I want to do this, I want to save the image as a cut image. And over here, I have the opportunity to say, this is a rainbow with a heart. And down here, I have tags. Tags are super important. So I could put heart and rainbow, right? Then I'm going to hit save. Now I am going to go back to my image that's been uploaded. Oh no, here's my image. Insert image. Okay, so that image that we just saw came in, but it turned all one color. And if I go to move it around, it moves all as one group. And if I go to ungroup it, I can't. So it just came in as one big chunk. If I want to just cut this out of one color, that's fine. But if I want to have each one of these rows of the rainbow separate, I need to do some more work. So let's go back. I'm going to hit delete again. We're going to go upload our image. We're going to browse for the image and bring it in. Hit complex, continue. Make it a little smaller so we see what we have. Now this time, I'm going to upload each one of the components of this design so that I get all of it as a piece within Design Space. So I'm going to go over here to my little magic eraser looking tool. And I'm going to start, I want to keep this peach part of the rainbow. So I'm going to click on the ones below. And I'm going to take out the heart too. And then I'm going to press continue. Now, sometimes there will be little dots along the edges. If you have these little dots, you would go back. You would get this eraser tool, and you can make this eraser tool a little bit bigger, a little bit smaller. This is the circle over here. If I say, oh, that's too big, and go a little bit smaller. And then if I click on my mouse and move it around, it can erase any little dots or any little excess things that I might see on there. So let's do continue because we don't have any of those there. Now, if I leave this highlighted, this is print and cut. It's going to want to print this and then cut it on cardstock. But if I want it from vinyl or iron-on, I need to make sure that I have save as cut image. And let's do rainbow, let's just do row 1. Jenny and I are from Charleston. We think of rainbow row, that's row 1. So this is called rainbow. I'm going to save it. So now that's going to sit over here in my saved section. Now I've got to keep doing this. I need to bring it back in. And this is why I thought this was a good thing to teach, because you're going to see me do something repetitively. And sometimes that's how you learn. So now we're going to take out the outside and these inside ones. I'm going to go continue, save as a cut image, row 2, rainbow, save. I'm going to do it again. I'm going to go here to our upload. I'm going to bring in our file, complex, continue, make it a little smaller. And then we have our little magic eraser guide. That's the default one that you have. So we're going to get that little purple guy. Continue, save as the cut. This is row 3. And it's still a rainbow with something last time, but that's okay. Upload that image again, and you can just keep, I find it easiest if I'm doing this to just leave that image on my desktop so I can pull it over super quick and easy. And we're working our way. Am I on the right one? Is that the right one?
Yeah.
Okay. So cut, row 4, rainbow.
So Bob Ross, Joy, you know, he used to have his like happy little trees. So these are Joy's joyful rainbows.
I loved Bob Ross. The way he would do those brushes.
Yes, right?
I thought he was the bomb diggity. Okay. Last one, we're going to go down to our heart. Continue. Save. Okay. So now we have all of our parts. I don't know why they're showing up a little bit weird like that. oops, I don't know what I did there either. Sometimes I press buttons. I think you guys are getting used to that I just press buttons. I've got to go to my uploads. Okay, so this one is probably the heart. So we're just gonna click these last 5. Whoops, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. My design space is just not working as quickly as I am, which is okay. I noticed that I didn't delete all of these camper ones here yet. So if I have extra layers here while this is working, I'll show you something else. If you come over here, even though my eyeball is marked out, I can still hit delete because these technically are still on my canvas, but we want to let them go. Come on. Did I go too fast? All right.
So while you're doing that, Joy, we had a good question here that said, could you have ungrouped the first rainbow you had done? And I think
No.
the answer is no, right? Because it has to be a layered image, which that image was not.
Correct. However, if you had wanted to, you could have, I could have, what could I do? I could have used my contour. Okay, so now everything is in here. I was just moving too fast. Too fast. Okay, so insert images. There they are. Okay, so now I'm not going to size anything yet. I'm not going to try and resize anything. I'm just, now you can see that each one is its own piece, which is what we want. So I'm going to put it back together again. I think I'll use the grid down here as my, oops, grab my next one. Now to grab each one, I'm just hopping off one bounding box and tapping onto another. And I am a perfectionist, so that's why I want that. Then I just click on these, bring them in, put my little heart in place. And you know what? I think I want this heart. I don't know why he ended up so small. I think I'd like that to be a little bit bigger. Oh, you know what happened to my heart? I made a mistake. Look, my heart is a print and cut. So technically I need to go back and do that piece correctly. But for the purposes of demonstration, this will work just fine. So now these are all individual pieces, and I'm going to click on the outside and drag my arrow and make it a group. Because if you look at it, this whole piece is really big. It goes out here to 16 inches, which is much bigger than I want. So let's say I just want to have this for my window, and I'm going to put it right about this size. Now, if I hit make it from here, all of those, well, you know my logo with my, that's a print and a cut. But all my other pieces are just going to kind of smush up. If I want to, I could turn this and say, no, I want him to fit there. Since it's all one color, I could bring them all onto one cutting mat and have them all cut together. But that's not what I want to do. I want these to cut in separate colors. So now I can come into the color palette, start with the outside one. Up here where it's currently black, I want to change it to a different color. Now, if I wanted to make a super special color, I just click the advanced key here, and now I can play around with the color. But in all honesty, this doesn't matter because whatever color your vinyl is your color you're using. That would make more sense if you were going to do something with your printing. But let's just play with these. So I will go with these blues, and we'll do one more, kind of a purpley down there, and then we'll leave that the same color. Now I could also, since I know that's the print and cut and it didn't go the way that I wanted it to go, I could come over here to my shapes and pull out a heart, and then I could take this heart go in my bounding box and make it the size that I want it. And let's say I want to unlock it because I want it to be a longer, skinnier heart fit space. And then I could make that ish. And then we'll just delete that for now. So then I would want to make that a whole group, just for sanity's sake of moving it around and then working with the bounding boxes. And then that would go to make it.
Joy, just to clarify,
Separate.
you did ungroup before you started changing the color on your canvas, right? And then you
Yes.
grouped. Yeah, so there's just a couple questions here saying, how did you do each one?
Let's go back, because I did do that kind of fast. So when it's a group, I can't pick each individual piece. So I do need to go up here to the right and hit ungroup. And now I can come here and say, I would like this outside one to be more of a purpley color. And then I can change those colors, each one individually. And then once I'm satisfied, I just I do I guess it's a left click, and hold down my cursor and it out, and then I hit group, and that brings it together for me.
So the
now
question of that, Joy, was what in Design Space lets you know if an image is layered or not? And the simple answer is you can just click the image and hit the ungroup button. If it doesn't ungroup, you know it's not a layered image.
Exactly. So for instance, let me see if I can find a good example of what might not be. Okay, here's a good example. Let's look at this little gnome guy. Here, we'll do the snail. Let's put him in here. You know, I do this and watch, there'll be a totally layered file, which it is. It's absolutely layered. And I know it's layered because look at all this stuff that came down the sides. So maybe I just want this little face right here. Then I could highlight it, ungroup it. Or maybe I only want one of these, I don't want all of them. So when it's ungrouped, I could come in here and just take this set away and say, no, I don't want that. Oops. Now, if you do something like that, don't worry. Just hit that back arrow and everything will come back together. But let's just say I don't want that. Let's say I just wanted the peppermint. I could come in here and just take the, see now, I could take that part too. That's how you're learning about here. But let's just turn off that part and then turn off. Get rid of that, get rid of that. And maybe I want to put the face in the middle of the peppermint. So then I could move that over and give him a funny little face over here. So there's a lot of stuff you can do with layers depending on just what you're interested in and how you want to play around with it. So the little snail is still there. Do we have more questions?
So we're having a little bit of technical difficulty, Joy. I think there's some lagging on, Zoom. The great news is there's a bunch of us on here, but I think that's actually contributing to the challenge we're having with the sound. So we're just, most of the questions have been stuff you've gone over, or they've been questions that we addressed in Design Space 1 and Design Space 2 over the last 2 weeks. So don't hesitate to go back to michaels.com, check out those recorded sessions because they answer a lot of those questions for you. And then of course we'll answer as much as we can here.
Oh, I can explain the contour in a nutshell. Somebody wanted that one? Okay, let me go back to share a screen. I always think because I'm looking at it, you guys can see it too. So with the contouring, since I'm in the Christmas stuff right now, we may as well just, and these gnomes crack me up. So let's just go here. When I click on the gnome, he is not something that I can ungroup. So he's not layers, but let's see, I do see that my contour button did show up. So let's see if I can do something in the contour area. Now, this again is very important. For some reason, he came in gigantic. So let's say I just really like, I'm gonna hide everything. And let's say I really just want a beard and a mustache and a little happy nose because I'm gonna do something cute with Santa Claus. So I'm gonna close that out. Oh, it left the rest of his body. Okay. Let's see what else we need to do. Oops. Let me move him off to the side since our contour is gonna show up. So we're gonna make that smaller. And in this case, I wanna get rid of that. And I wanna get rid of that. So now I just have his beard, his mustache, and his nose. And I think I could choose these to come up to. Let's say I want to have some texture. And contour is really like one of those things. Just play with it. And remember, my tendency is to go back down here to hide contours. Just click out of it. When you're done, click out of it. So now with that contour, I just ended up with a good little Santa piece. Beard and mustache and nose.
The good news is, you know, in one of my tricks, Joy, I am not as talented as Joy is at Design Space. That said, I do get in there and I play a lot. And one thing I found is a good cheat tool for me is if I find an image in Design Space that I love, I'm like, I love this image. This is what I want to use. No matter what I'm using it for, I take that image and drop it onto my canvas. And then I'll just copy that image. So I have two. And then I can play with one of the images. I can try contour. I can try, you know, unlayering, ungrouping. I can try welding and slicing. And the great news is, for the most part, you can always hit the back button, or you can just delete that second one that you were playing with and go back to your original and make another copy and try again. So, you know, that's what's so great about this canvas. You get to make it what you want it to be. And the whole goal for the layers is really just to tell, you're communicating to your machine what you want your machine to cut. So if everything on your mat is red, it's gonna cut all of those pieces in red on your vinyl or your iron-on or your paper, even if those materials are different color than red. You'll know that they're all on the same mat. So when you layer your material on the mat, it'll cut those pieces first, and then your next color, it'll move on. So it's just, the color tool is a way for you to see what it looks like before you make it, which is awesome. And then as soon as you make it, you can say, oh, you know, I didn't have that color vinyl after all in my stash in my closet, so now I'm gonna use this color, but I know it's gonna be this version that matches the red pieces. Does that make a little bit more sense? I'm seeing some nodding heads and thumbs up. Okay, that's awesome. It's hard to kind of like train online, and we're using all these tools. We really encourage you to get in there and play.
Yes.
You really can't mess it up. And I've seen some phenomenal responses from Ruth here. She seems like an expert. She's got a lot of great information. Catherine and Christine have been answering a ton of questions. Joy and I are here too to answer as much as we can. And the good news is that Cricut, even though we're all working from home right now, right? Like a lot of you and a lot of your family members, we're still working for you. And we're still working all day long, every day, and doing the best that we can to make changes on Design Space that will make this easier, maybe more user-friendly for you in some cases. And we're always updating the software, which I know can be a pain point sometimes, but it's really because we're doing it to make it easier for you. So
Yes.
just know, we know we're not perfect. We're trying
Yes.
and we want to make it easy. You want to make
Jenny,
it
there's really a good question in here too, because I am showing everything in Design Space, but somebody asked, when you cut all the pieces, you need to layer them, place them on your project, and then iron. And yes, if this is an iron-on, you would cut each one of those pieces. Because these pieces aren't touching each other, you could cut your backer close enough that you could put them all onto one t-shirt together and press them. But if there are colors that overlap, you would put the one color down and give it a quick press. So maybe like 6 seconds, and if it's a hot peel, then peel that backer off, and then put your next one on. And a sheet of Teflon is good in between those, so that when you're layering those pieces, you're not burning it onto your easy press. But yes, you would layer those on and iron them. I chose this one because it's still easy enough to cut around them, and you could do it all as one. Yep.
Joy, you showed a little bit of this, and I know we were having some technical issues, but the question here from May is, how do you convert a print then cut image to just the cut image?
Yes. Okay. So let me go back and share my screen again. And that means when you're uploading, right? That you've uploaded it as a print and cut, but you wanted it as a a cut.
Yeah, I think it depends if you're uploading your own file versus if you're using a file from Design Space where you can actually dictate if it cuts or print then cuts,
right.
Correct?
Okay. So let's go back here, and I'm going to put my same rainbow in, hit my complex, hit continue. We can back this out. And let's say this is exactly how I want it to print and cut. I don't need to make any changes at all using any of these tools. I can just go right to continue. And then this is what it would look like if it was going to cut. And I'm going to answer somebody else's question in this too. And then if I want to save this as a print then cut image, this is tricky, you guys. This is tricky because I mess it up a lot, and I messed it up just even in showing this. See this tiny little green line around the outside? That means you chose this one. If I wanted the cut, that little tiny green line would come over here on the cut. So you really have to remember to look for that line. It's kind of quiet. So I'm going to hit save, and then I'm going to put this into my project. And now this is a print and cut file. And it says on the side over here, in your layering section, it says cut and print. So that's exactly what it's going to do. Now, if you say, oh, that's not what I wanted it to cut, I wanted to just cut, then you have to go back to the process again and do the process as we showed you, where you take each piece out. However, let me show you, if I go back to this one, and I like the save as a cut image, and I save that, and then I pick that one and put that into my project. This is the old, there are more ways than one to skin a cat idea. So let's, although I hate that
Don't let
saying.
my cat hear that, Joy. She's in here. She's listening.
I was going to say, that's not a nice saying because my little buddy is here too. Okay, so I'm going to see, now my contour button is not highlighted at all, but now I'm going to do my bounding box, and my contour button is here. And I could say, all right, I only want to cut this outside piece. So I could pick that, and that would be the only one. Close it, close my box. Oh, I took it away. Okay, so you kind of have to play. Let's do undo. I sometimes get this backwards in my head when I go to explain it, and especially when I do it myself. I'll be like, which way does it go? So it's a little easier if you do hide all contours and then pick the ones you want. So this outside one just by default stayed. So that's great. I can go there and say, good, I want that. But to be even smarter, I should have done what Jenny says. And over here on the right side, I have my duplicate. If I duplicate it 4 or 5 times, then each time I go in here and do my contour, then I can say, hide all contours, that's the one I want, close out. Then I can come to this one and do hide all contours, I only want this one, not that one. And then I could pick my rainbow pieces that way. And that works because this one, nothing is overlapping anything else. But if I were to bring in a different image, like, and I've been uploading a lot, so you've got to think for a second here. But if I were to bring in this rainbow image, I think this is a print and cut. But if I were to do that, I don't know that I could contour out the clouds. You'd have to kind of play because things are overlapping. And I'm just noticing time. So that, you know, that's all it is. Go find something, get in there, hop around, see what you find. If you run into a snag, I go YouTube, and then I write whatever my snag was, and somebody will show me a video of how to fix it.
Yeah, for sure. And just as a reminder, you don't have to have a machine to get on Design Space and play. So please encourage yourself, encourage your friends to get on there, play, and then that might help you also decide what is the type of projects that you think you're going to be doing, depending on if it's something you do that's therapeutic, which is why I do it, or maybe it's your side hustle, or maybe it's just to spread a little joy and kindness in a world that's kind of nutsy. So yeah, just decide kind of what it is that you think you might be interested in, and then that will also help guide you to which machine might be right for you. You know, the Cricut Joy machine, the Air 2, or the Cricut Maker, just depending on what it is that you think you're going to be cutting. So get in there and play on Design Space. It really is an awesome tool. Yes, it is complex, but that's just because we wanted to provide as much opportunity as we could for you guys to personalize and manipulate your designs to get out of it what you needed to.
Right, exactly. I noticed somebody said that they tried this and it just went to a black box. You might not have hit the complex or select image type and gotten all the pieces out. I've been using a PNG, which leaves all the background clear. That's why I have a checker box back there. If you have white, you need to use that magic erase tool and erase out all the white. Otherwise, it'll just show up as a gray box, if that makes sense. So there's still more for us to teach, Jenny. So I think we're coming back next week, right?
Yeah, Catherine, I think we'll be back.
Yeah, I mean, and there's been, you guys have asked a lot of really great questions and even probed a couple things on classes I think that we definitely should be teaching to help. So we have been making note of that for sure, and that way we can kind of continue to build this class lineup and educate y'all as best we can. I mean, a lot of times we're learning right along with y'all with some of this, so we just really appreciate the great questions, great responses from y'all, and really just y'all joining us today. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And don't forget, this is recorded. It will be posted michaels.com/classes. All of the past ones are there as well. And you know, we have a ton of other classes constantly going up on michaels.com/online classes. So if you're bored, just wanting to learn something new, please don't hesitate to go sign up for those classes. There are some really fun ones and new ones being added every single day. And again, thank you so much for sharing your time with us. You've asked such great questions, and y'all have been such a great community to one another, and you know, answering each other's questions. That has been such a huge help to Jenny, Christine, Joy, and I. Y'all were firing them very quickly So thank you. We just love this engagement. But yes, next week we should be back, and we will just keep coming and keep doing what we can to help you guys make and help you guys create. So thank you so much. You all have been so kind, and we're glad that we could teach you something today.
See you guys next week.
Everybody,
Have a great week, everybody.
Bye, y'all.
thank you so much.